right?
I will.
Okay.
And we're live. Hello, everybody. We are very, very happy to see you here. And we're very excited to talk to you about this topic today. So what we're talking about, and let me share my presentation with you in 1 second, is breaking into tech. So we are going to, whoops, this is our agenda. This is the first slide. Yes, we are going to talk about career paths in tech industry for non-tech candidates. And let's introduce ourselves first. So you might know me. My name is Masha. I'm the blonde from Coding Blonde, and I am here today with Alina, who was a wonderful colleague while I was at Google and a friend. So yeah, Alina, can you tell us more about yourself, please?
Yeah, hi guys. I'm so excited to be here together with Masha. I'm really proud that finally I have an opportunity to work with her again. Yeah, so we're gonna tell more today about career path in tech. We both are quite passionate about this topic, and we both come from very diverse backgrounds. And it's also a great pleasure for us to share our experience. Yeah, I guess we are ready to start. And maybe we can ask where people are dialing from, because I guess we have quite an international crowd today.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great idea, Alina. We are also on different sides of the world right now. Actually, let me stop screen sharing right now. I will, do my face thing for a little bit. But where are you joining from, Alina? Let's just show the potential of technology nowadays.
Well, I'm joining from London.
You're joining from London. I'm joining from Denver, Colorado. What were you guys joining from? Please let us know. We are very curious. Let me see if I can see your comments as we are. Oh, I can see we have some people in Thailand, all over the world. And this is the beauty of technology, right? This is wonderful. So I think we should jump straight into the presentation and talk about this beautiful world of tech that lets us communicate from miles and miles away from the different sides of the planet. So back to you, Alina.
Yeah, just on a side note, I guess it might be quite late in Thailand. So kudos to those who join from from APAC region. Yeah, so let's jump to our agenda.
Absolutely.
So first of all, we're gonna introduce ourselves and talk about why are you here and why are we here and what we can share with you. And today we're gonna do more of an overview of tech industry and roles. So we're not gonna give you like precise steps to get there, but we'll talk about it a bit later, and we'll give you a description of what we're gonna cover today just in a few slides. We're gonna talk about tech industry in general, why it's so appealing to join to build career there, and we'll go through several career paths and roles such as product managers, UX UI designers, marketing managers, business sales, and so on and so forth. So mostly they are described on the slide. We also will talk a bit about how to build up your tech skills if you want to learn how to code, but more for sure we'll cover later in the masterclass. So I guess we can jump to our introduction, and let's start with Masha. So maybe you will tell us how. Oh no, actually, we'll talk about the masterclass about the workshop.
Absolutely. And before we talk about that, I just want to say that I'm watching a lot of people are joining from so many different countries. There's Brazil, Colombia, Germany, India,
Wow.
Honduras, Morocco. You guys are awesome. I hope you enjoy this. So yeah, just to build your expectations, what we're going to talk about and what we won't be talking about, just so that we're on the same page. And just so that you know what you're going to get out of here, out of this webinar. And Alina has mentioned some of those points. So we're going to give you a tech industry overview. So we're going to talk about statistics and growth projections and all that stuff. We're also going to talk about the different career paths that are there for non-technical candidates. So if you're already a software engineer, this might not be super relevant for you. Just wanted to let you know because, yeah, we want to be upfront with you guys, and we will demystify and do a short overview of those roles. When it comes to our masterclass, we are going to talk more about the different skills and resources that you need to get to the potential path that you would like to choose for yourself. We're going to give you a step-by-step action plan and real examples of people that we know that have switched roles, just so that you understand their names will be changed, but otherwise it's all true stories. It's all people that we know. What we won't be talking about, again, is exact requirements, is engineering roles. So we're not going to talk about, this might not be super relevant for somebody who has technical skills already or is working on the field. This is for people without a technical background. We won't cover exact requirements that you need to get a job, because the thing is, it's very, very specific to the company. You might, two different companies, the same role in two different companies might really vary. So yeah, we can't necessarily give you the exact requirements, and we won't talk about particular companies, although I have to say we will sometimes give you some anecdotes from our time at Google, because yeah, that's where we met.
Yeah, so let us just introduce ourselves briefly, and maybe you will know more and understand more why are you here. So just briefly, let's jump into it. Masha, maybe you will start.
Absolutely. So yeah, here's my story. You might already know me as the blonde from Coding Blonde. I'm the founder and CEO of Coding Blonde, and currently I'm a global entrepreneur in residence at CU Boulder, which is a university here in Colorado. I am super passionate about mixing up technology and entrepreneurship and innovation. And that silver lining has kind of gone throughout my experience. Previously, I was at Google. I was working at Google, part of the YouTube team, and this is where Alina and I met. We're literally sitting across from each other and seeing each other's sleeping faces in the morning, and telling each other to go home when it was too late and somebody was still working, and trying to keep that work-life balance together. Yeah, because you know what, it's very important, and sometimes when work is fun, you forget about that. And before that, I was working at multiple tech startups, doing basically everything. I'm wearing so many different hats. I was a marketing one-woman show. I was launching platforms in different markets. I was building communities and doing PR. So yeah, tech has been a passion of mine, and it was an accidental passion because I don't have a background in technology. I don't have a computer science degree or anything like that. I have a bachelor degree in economics. So Bachelor of Science and Economics from St. Andrews. Go Scotland. Is there anybody here from Scotland, by the way? And I also have a master's in market research and consumer behavior. So economics and marketing, those are kind of my things. And so yeah, right now I'm wearing so many different hats with my job at the university, and as a startup mentor or somebody who is participating and creating entrepreneurship and innovation programs and initiatives. And at the same time, I'm working on Coding Blonde and building the brand and educating people, researching markets, basically all this fun stuff. But like I said, innovation is my jam. And actually, this time last year, I was flying to Zurich, maybe a month before, but basically around this time. It was in August. No, it was this time. Yes, this time last year. I was flying to Zurich with my team at Google to participate in the YouTube Innovation Week, and which was an internal design thinking competition. And our team ended up winning and presenting to the YouTube CEO. And actually, right until when I left Google, and a couple of weeks actually after I was working on trying to implement those strategies. So because the CEO really liked those features that we came up with. And yeah, right now I'm working on Coding Blonde and empowering women in technology. And with that work, I have been featured in Forbes and listed as one of the 20 female founders to watch out in Colorado. So that is my profile. And with all of this work, I've been super fortunate to basically meet people who I could have impacted along the way. And it's super inspiring for me to see people actually benefiting from my work, from the fact that I am trying to create content for women especially, and just empower people in technology. So yeah, this is my path. This is why I'm here today talking to you about technology and career paths. And now I would like to give the spotlight to Alina to tell about her story and why she is uniquely qualified to talk to you today.
Thank you, Masha. Just to add from my side, Masha is a true role model, and when we met at Google, I was really inspired by her story and her experience with Coding Blonde and leading this project. It's really cool. So about me, switching to my story. Now, I'm first of all founder of Verb Etc. project. I'll tell about it a bit later. I'm still part of Google and YouTube, and I'm also program lead for coding courses at Google for non-tech people working at Google. And also, I was working in a startup education. I was doing my own educational projects in public speaking and so on and so forth. But my path to tech wasn't straightforward at all, and maybe my story is one of the most unusual ways how people get to tech industry, because my first degree was in Oriental Studies and Chinese language. So I was studying a lot of history, literature, languages, and nothing was ever related to tech industry. And for me, it was always a big interest of mine. But people told me, and there was a bit of bias around me, that probably as a girl I shouldn't go into that field and I wouldn't able to compete there. But I always was interested, and I also was interested in economics and in business a lot. So I went to business school, and I studied in St. Petersburg and in Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. And while I was doing my master's, I was also involved in a very, very small startup. I was working for free. I wasn't paid any money, but this experience totally changed my life, because I fell in love with the industry, and I fell in love with making products and making what people want. So I think in my last year of masters, I just got a message on my LinkedIn account from a Googler who just asked me if I want to try to apply for Google, because he saw my profile and thought that I might be a good fit for a role. So such stories also happen. So I'm one of them, that I just got a profile. I had a lot of experience in making like projects in career development, in leading big career conferences, making my own educational projects. So anyway, I got into Google a year and a half after I moved to YouTube, where I met Masha. And yeah, I also always wanted to learn how to code, and it always was, I would say, a dream of mine to understand how this magic world works. So I went to a coding bootcamp, and for a year I was learning how to code and building my own products, and it helped me a lot in my career progression later. And that's why I'm really, really inspired to show people without tech background how amazing actually their path here can be, and that's not only for people with computer science, math, or I don't know, physics background. So yeah, I also love hackathons. I'm in love with business case competitions, and everywhere where I can work with a team to present projects, I really love the process. Yeah. So anyway, now I'm leading my own project, verb.com. You can Google it later, and probably you will have all the links down this video. And I love to talk about career development. I consult people on their CVs, their cover letters, mock interviews, and so on. So if you have any questions, reach out to me. And on the next slide, I guess there are my testimonials of people that worked with me. And some of them got offers into top companies. Some of them just brushed up their CVs or just got through screening stages for the roles that they wanted to apply. So I really love talking to people. And if you have any problem and you want to understand how to better like polish yourself for tech, yeah, that's the right place for you. All right.
Absolutely. And I have to say that Alina is an inspiration for sure. I just remember meeting her for the first time and just seeing how she would just achieve everything that she wanted. And I'm just super excited to see what's in this journey, in this tech journey for her. So yeah, and I'm super, super excited that we're working on this project together.
Oh, thank you, Masha.
And just to also just to add, if you guys are interested in finding Alina's project, Verb, etc., her company, I've just added the link in the description on the YouTube live, and also if you're watching this through the webinar page, you can find that at the bottom in the footer. So yeah, make sure you click on that and check her out. And next slide.
Yeah, so I think that based on my story as well, and based on many stories that we've heard and we know, I wanted to say, like, we wanted to say that career change and like pivoting in tech is quite a common thing, because industry is quite new, and there are a lot of new jobs just that appeared just a decade ago, and some of them are just appearing on the go. So there are still no university courses for many of them, and you can grasp this knowledge by checking out online courses or just talking with professionals from the field. So it's really cool that it's still forming. It's still forming, and there's going to be much more roles appearing in the future, and it's definitely the place to look into. And also we'll share with you real life examples that actually of people who actually changed their trajectories very, I would say, dramatically, and who came from different backgrounds. Anyway, this is gonna we'll share it with you during the masterclass. Today we're not gonna cover this. Today we'll give you an overview of the roles, overview of the industry, and I guess we are ready to jump into the overview. Right?
Absolutely. And before we do so, I wanted to tell you once again about the masterclass, and that because you guys have joined the webinar right now, you guys are getting the Earlybird offer, which is 50% off, and you can find the coupon code and the discount code in the description of the video that you're watching right now, either on YouTube or on the webinar player. So yes, make sure you do that, and there's a link to the relevant place as well. And before we jump in, I just wanted to ask you, what is your background? Because I can see the chat is pretty active right now. What degree do you hold? So we don't have a computer science degree at all. What about you guys? What did you study at university? So please let us know in the chat. We'd love to hear what you guys studied and what's your background, basically. But right now, we're going to jump into why tech? Why technology? Why are you here to listen to us talk about this industry? And the reason, there are a lot of reasons. It's a very exciting industry, right? It's super dynamic and it's constantly developing and growing. I mean, we are talking from all over the world right now, right? We have some people who are from the other side of the planet. Alina and I are on the other side of the planet, right? And we have written this, we have created this all remotely. We weren't in the same room at all. And if you think about this, the internet became something that people started adopting only in the 90s. So maybe less than 30 years ago. And this is how much we've progressed. So it's growing and developing all the time. And there's so many different opportunities and exciting projects. And we will go into more details on how to find the industry, the sub-industry that you really love during our masterclass that we keep on talking about. But trust me, there's so many different opportunities. You can be within the technology industry and working on your passions. You can be coming up with the next technology that is going to change the world, disrupt so many industries. I mean, look at Uber or Lyft, for example, right? They are just basically they came in and they changed the whole taxi industry. Or I don't know if in your countries you guys are having those electrical scooters. Those are also disrupting the industry. And now I see dockless Uber bicycles. It's just crazy, right? It's just there's so many possibilities, opportunities, and exciting projects. And of course, when it comes to business, yes, it is a very, very profitable industry, and it is predicted to grow by 4% this year, reaching $3.5 trillion in revenue, which is, I just can't even imagine that many zeros, to be honest. But yeah, this is the reality that we live in. So yeah, it is very, very profitable. And another reason why you guys are here, because it's the right time to join this industry. There's so many jobs, and the pie keeps on, this job pie keeps on growing, because between 2016 and 2026, the job market is predicted to grow by 13%, adding over 500,000 of new jobs, which is crazy to me. I don't know. This is just, yeah, it's insane. And that's just in the US. That's just in the United States. Can you imagine how many jobs will be added worldwide? And you guys are super global right now, so that's relevant. And also, this industry on average offers higher salaries. So again, this is statistics for the US, and this might vary from country to country, from job to another job. But still, in the tech industry, in May 2017, so a year ago, the median annual wage was $84,580, which is a lot. It's almost $50,000 more than the same statistic for all other occupations. Again, this is within the US, so I don't know the information for the same statistics for other countries, but I mean, this is pretty impressive. Very impressive. Oh, whoops. And the reason why we're talking about non-tech roles is, Alina?
Yeah, so just to talk a bit about differences of usual tech company from like usual classic corporation, is that tech is closely related. Like in tech, company engineering and business works in close collaboration, and there is no opposition but constant feedback loop and cross-functional collaboration, because without business and without business organization, without like feedback from the market, feedback from the users, there is no opportunity to develop the right product, right? And there is no opportunity for engineering teams to understand what actually people want. And engineering team gives technology and solutions and brings innovation to the existing products. But again, it's business team who delivers this product to the market. So it's a constant collaboration, and people are closely working together. And it's amazing because I haven't seen this in many other industries, and I haven't seen this in any other companies. So I'm really advocating for tech, and especially like in many like classic companies, there's a lot of like classic companies. I mean, like more companies that were not initially tech, but now are like bringing a lot of digital into their strategies and a lot of tech into their strategies and so on. So even in such companies, there's very, very close collaboration between business and engineers, because without like understanding the business need, there's also very little understanding what to build. So yeah, I guess that's one of the coolest parts of tech companies. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, these two, I would say almost ecosystems can't survive without each other. So if you're trying to join the tech industry as an engineer, as someone who is going to be programming, you're going to be just as important as the business people, because if you build an amazing product, you need to be able to sell it, and to sell something, you need to have an amazing product. So, and with that, we're going to jump into demystifying some of the roles that we've identified as some of the most popular roles in the tech world that don't require super technical skills. So don't require you to necessarily know how to code. It's always beneficial, but these ones don't. So let's start with our first role, which is the product manager.
Yeah. So product manager, I think it's one of the most desirable and fashionable roles right now, because product manager is often considered to be the CEO of the product and the person who actually decides on how the product will look like, and how and because tech company is highly dependent on the product itself. It means that how good the product will look like will actually result in market success of the whole company. So product manager is responsible for the whole product and is responsible for maximizing the value of the product. And he does this through work with development or engineering team, and with owning and managing priorities for development. And for sure, he communicates with many, many stakeholders. He communicates with business organization and with engineering team as well. So if you heard such word as Scrum, so you probably also heard of product owners, and you can also read a bit more about it if you haven't heard. You also can know, you also can read a bit more about like working with development engineering team. And it's a great role for those who have like for people who have some understanding of like tech architecture of the product and tech, I would say, stack at the same time, has some business knowledge. So it's really great role, and that's why so many people want to join it and want to become product managers. There are tons of courses and tons of books and tons of, I would say, mentors who are speaking about product development and product management. We'll talk about it in our masterclass, and we'll give you some resources and books and courses to look at. And we usually source our we ask for recommendations from the people who actually work as product managers. And I think that partially every founder at some point is a product manager of their company. Yeah, so I guess we're ready to jump to other role.
Absolutely. Yeah, this role is such a fun role, and it combines so many different things. It's fascinating. And, if I ever end up working for another company again, I'm really considering this role for myself at some point. But let's go into the role of a UX designer. You guys, if you're subscribed to my YouTube channel or my blog, you may have heard me talk about UX before because I absolutely love it. So UX, let's just start with the beginning. It stands for user experience. So as a UX designer, you are designing the experience that the user goes through as they interact with your product. So it might start with them finding out about your product. How do they do that, right? Then how do they go into your product? What is the feel? What is the look? Does it solve the problem? Does it have the right content for them, the right menu, options, the right features and stuff like that? So basically, the scope of this role is from starting with the strategy for the content and really researching what the users need, what are their problems, what is the content that you have to, and what are the features that you have to have in order to solve those problems, to then wireframing and prototyping. And wireframing is literally drawing out phone screens, or if you're designing a mobile app, for example. Or I was literally with a friend of mine yesterday who was testing their prototype of an app, and I was pressing the screen just to show how I would interact with this application as a potential user. So it's all about testing it and seeing if your prototype works before actually investing a lot of money and developing that. So yes, it's a very, very interesting and very intuitive role where you have to be very empathetic with the user and understanding their problems. And then, of course, executing those wireframes, executing that plan once you've tested it and you found that it's good. But the thing is, the role doesn't stop there. The role continues testing and iterating on the current product. Are people happy with what you've designed? Or do you need to add more features to make it more useful? And all these things. Do you have to change this button? Do you have to change that? It's an iterative process that never really stops, and it's super, super fun. I absolutely love UX. I think that it's just the core of everything, and from technology to also things that are, analog, that you can find in real life. I would love to do a UX as a project. I'd love to do a user experience design of a restaurant. That would be so much fun. But yes, and sorry, Alina, do you have anything to add here?
Yeah, no, I just remember my talk with one of the UX designers during the weekend, and he actually told me vice versa, that UX designers shouldn't have or shouldn't rely too much on empathy, but should rely on data. So if you're really analytical and if you really love data and analyzing, like doing tests and research and understanding how people do this or that action in your app or on your website, and you're really, like, I would say, structured and analytical, and go for it. Because like UX designer, as well as our next role, is not always about creativity but also about data. And I think everywhere, almost in every role in tech, there will be data involved. And if you're looking into skills that you want to kind of train for breaking into tech, I would say that data analysis will be one of them, or even number one. So I guess we can jump to other role, to the next one.
Absolutely. I just wanted to add that I agree 100%. And I think that data can also be empathetic because it shows the patterns and the consumer behavior. As someone with a background in consumer behavior and market research, data is, oh my God, I forgot the word. But data is the thing that really shows empathy and shows the behavior of the consumer. But our next role is a UI designer. And again, an acronym that I'm going to to expand for you. UI stands for user interface. So this designer, this person actually designs the look and feel of the page. So for example, if you're watching this on a YouTube page, there's a certain UI to it. You know where the buttons are, you know how they interact with you and all that stuff. You have a certain feel depending on which website you would go to. So for example, a lot of pages are trying to be very minimalistic, just so that they feel very clean and very crisp almost, and very delightful. Oh, that's a word that these professionals and UX designers also love, delightful. But yeah, basically, when you are working as a UI designer, you are controlling the look and feel and designing the look and feel of the page. So you have to really analyze what people like. You have to do research on some design principles. You have to integrate the branding and the graphics into your designs. And of course, you have to think about stuff like responsiveness and interactivity. Is this website mobile responsive? Is it easy to interact with it, or is it intuitive when it comes to some of the buttons and things like that? So when you are a UI designer, you are very much concerned with the product itself. So yes, and in some companies, UI designers and UX designers are different people. Sometimes those roles can be combined because they do overlap in some ways, and a lot of people actually confuse them because of that. But yes, just remember that UX is more of a general, as an umbrella thing, as a journey, as an experience of the user, and the UI focuses more on the actual page. Alina, do you have anything else to add to that?
No, I think in general you covered everything. Again, with creativity, there comes analytics. I'm always like looking into this analytical parts of all the roles. But I totally agree. I love these roles. Both of them are amazing, and Masha has a lot of videos devoted to these roles. So go and check it out after our live stream.
Yeah, like, subscribe, comment, coding blonde. But yeah, let's go into our next role, which is the product marketing manager.
Yeah, so product marketing manager is also one of the most desirable roles in tech because especially for people with marketing, they can bring expertise from other industries easily to tech industry. Just one important note that depending on the company and depending on, I would say, sub industry of the company, there might be some differences between product manager and product marketing manager. Sometimes these roles look quite similar, and product marketing manager sometimes does responsibilities of product manager. So it depends a lot on the scope, so they might vary across companies and industries. But again, the main responsibilities, they focus on marketing. And in this case, marketing includes market research, as it includes in other industries, surveys, focus groups, and analyzing the sales data, but also looking into the market, analyzing competitors, analyzing market, I would say market positioning, user needs, and pricing, which is very important. So what differs from other industries is that product marketing manager plans and executes launches of new products, and tech companies, are based on products. So they depend on life cycle of a product a lot. So with marketing comes all the launches, all the communication, both external and internal. Sometimes also they differ. So sometimes they're a devoted person for like internal communication or knowledge management in the team, but sometimes it's also the same person, depending on the complexity of the product. So if it's more or less easier product from especially tech side, it's usually like one marketing team that is responsible for all the communications. if it's very complicated product, there also usually the whole team of people that is writing documentation for internal use, for external use. So there are many other roles that we are not like mentioning today directly, but they are kind of working together with these people. So getting back to marketing manager, again, like internal and external messaging, and also communication with PR, marketing campaigns, plans. So these things also usually fall under product marketing manager scope. Yeah, so I guess this is one of the coolest roles for those who are transferring from other industries and want to apply their existing skills to tech, to the product. So there are also many books and courses that we will recommend you in the masterclass. But again, like speaking from my experience, people really love and are aspiring to get into these roles. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I have to say, as someone who has a marketing background, I always found it so fascinating when working at Google and the product marketing managers would send us internal communications and, just the message that we're going to put out about certain launches or stuff like that. It's a very, very interesting role for sure. Yeah, it was fascinating to watch that happen as someone who has done marketing before. And the next role is business development.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or sales.
Business development already. I was expecting some other roles. Anyway, yeah, looking
Yes.
into
Business development.
cool.
Okay, just double checking.
So yeah, again, scope of business development and sales teams might vary across companies and industries, but here we united them together because these people are actually bringing money to the company. So the most important people. And if you're afraid to be, I don't know, laid off, this is the last people who are usually get away from the company because they bring money. And depending on your role, if you're more like strategic and you're speaking about like business development, and you're not doing any account management, it's usually developing the strategy and working closely with product managers team and strategy team. So you look into sales channels and actual revenue channels, how the money comes to your company and how you can earn more money, or how you can close very strategic deals, or like what would be a strategy of working with partners, and so on and so forth. Also, there are a lot of account management roles that fall under this, I would say, scope. So it can be account manager, account planning, sales support. It can be customer success. So all the people that make money for the company and make the revenue grow, and or they make like success of their partners bigger, and so on and so forth. So usually these people are very, very good at communication, and they have very they are customers advocates in the company. So they bring all the needs from the client or the partner to the engineering teams, and then they implement what actually users ask for. So again, depending on the company, whether it's B2B or B2C, there might be different scope and different patterns of how they work. But again, these people are responsible for customer relationship from day one till the deal closure. And sometimes if we are talking about account management, they are responsible for customer success or client or partner success with the product. So yeah, the last thing that I wanted to mention, and maybe Masha will support me later on that, is that it differs a bit from, I would say, classic impression that we got from media and literature about sales roles, because with tech products, especially with B2B products, it's usually consultative selling. So it's not something that you have to kind of sell something to the person, something that he or she doesn't want. It's usually you providing the solution for partner's problem, depending on partners or clients' needs. So you're more like a consultant rather than the salesperson. So that's what is cool about these roles. So I guess, Masha, you can add more because you worked in a similar role.
Absolutely, yes. While I was at Google, I was in the business development and sales kind of, well, my role was involving the scope of what these people do. And I have to say, it was a lot of work with the actual client, which is amazing. You know, the final user of the product. So in our case, that was YouTube. But and it was so much fun. It was great because I got to literally hear what people what their experiences were of the product, and it was a lot of fun. And I have to say, I'm watching, not currently, but my boyfriend is in sales right now, and I can see him in this role every day. And literally this morning he had some sales calls, and like Alina said, it is all about consulting. It's not about shoving something, shoving a product down somebody's throat. It's about asking questions and finding out what the needs are of the consumer, of the company, and whether you're working B2B or B2C. And just to make sure that you guys understand, B2B means business to business, B2C means business to customer or consumer. So basically, it just means how is the company that you're working at, who is the client, who's the consumer? Is it businesses, or is it final consumer kind of thing? Hopefully that's not too confusing the way I just put that. But yeah, it's a very, very exciting role. And the thing is, it is very challenging. It is definitely
true.
You have to talk to clients who have never heard of your service before, who don't necessarily want to spend money on your service. But the thing is, you need to understand their needs, and you need to be able to show how your product can solve some of those problems, and basically show them why they should work with you. And again, it's not super salesy. Like, the first thing that comes to mind is the book that I read when I was in English class as a 14-year-old, The Death of a Salesman. No, it's not those like salespeople that are trying to sell a used car or anything like that. It's people who really are trying to understand what problems your business or this customer in particular has, and then trying to help them out with their service. So yeah, it's a really fun role, very challenging, but also very rewarding. Every time my boyfriend gets a new client, and some of the clients that he's working with right now are super, super cool tech companies. I'm not going to share them, but let me tell you, they're really, really cool. I'm very, very proud of him. But yeah, every time he gets a sale with one of those companies, it's so rewarding because you did it. You took that client and you took them from the very, very first introduction to the deal, just like Alina said. So yeah, that's what I had to add about this role. So yeah, let's move on to the next one, which is operations and support.
Yeah, my favorite. So operations and support. So these teams are also very important in the company, and these are the roles that might require some tech skills or like basic tech skills, depending on the role. Again, this might vary from company to company. From my personal experience, when I was at business school, I hated operations so we had a subject, operations and business processes, something like this. I really hated the subject. I thought that it is the most boring thing you can ever imagine. But in the reality, it's one of the most exciting things because you actually do the real thing. You actually, as Masha said, get shit done. You're the people who make everything work smoothly, and you build the processes, especially in the big companies. These are super important roles, and you have to be super structured, organized. You have to manage your priorities in a very, I would say, in a brilliant way. So you have to be awesome with your prioritization and with getting things done. So what operations and support are responsible for? So depending again, we united operations and support, but they might be doing different things in different companies. So in general, these teams are responsible for processes and for solving the problems of partners or customers or also internal teams. So one of the main responsibilities might be troubleshooting the customer issues or partners issues, and also building the right processes to maintain the product for clients and solve their problems. Because even if you build the great product, you sell it to business or to clients, to direct clients, I don't know, a usual person, for example, if this person or company has the problem with the product, definitely, like, people will stop using this product because they won't get the required support, and they won't be able to maintain usage of this product. So that's why these teams are super important, and these are usually the people that all the company runs to solve the problems and so on. So sometimes these roles are also involving account planning and account management. Sales support might be also involved, and also consultative selling. So if people, for example, are like writing to you with their problem, or like calling to you with their problem, you might be like their account manager. You also can upsell something to them and help them solve another problem. Anyway, in big companies, especially, operations might be really fun. Nevertheless, like, it might sound, you might not believe me, but it's really fun. And also, I would say, in comparison with, for example, strategy roles, where you're not always confident whether your recommendations will be implemented or not, operations will also, like, if operations build the process, this process will be implemented, and that's how it will work. That's why these roles are for super, I would say, organized people and analytical people as well. So you also might need some tech skills to solve the problems for the clients. So yeah, I guess we're ready to jump to the next role.
Yes, absolutely. And just a little anecdote from life, Alina, because Alina was in operations and still is in operations. So when we worked together, yeah, she was in operations when we were together, when we sat across from each other. And every time a client that I was talking to was having an issue, and that happened a lot, let me tell you, I would run to Alina and be like, please help me. She was literally the goddess. She would help out so many people, and really, these people are the ones who are super needed in the company. So if you like to be the problem solver, this is the position. This is a great position for you.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're moving to strategy roles. These are the people, as I mentioned before, these are the people that shape the strategy for the company, and sometimes for the product. And they also, their scope might vary across companies and industries. But these people are also super important because they see the bigger picture. So if, I don't know, salespeople or operations people, they see their domain, these people usually see the bigger picture, and they also like, they shape the recommendations for the management team, and shape the direction of the product or the whole company sometimes. So these might be especially interesting for you if you worked in management consulting, or if you worked in other, like, strategic roles. You will look into untapped markets and opportunities, and again, like, doing competition analysis, develop, like, business development strategy, probably with, again, like, business development teams, planning, pricing, launches of new products. So sometimes strategy team is super important, and it is involved in so many things apart from, like, classic strategy, as we might think of it. So yeah, if you really like more, I would say, ideas and shaping the ideas rather than, like, seeing the result right away, so these roles might be for you. So yeah.
Yes, absolutely. This role is super interesting. I remember watching some of the presentations by the strategy team while at Google, and I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest role ever. You really work with data. You really make really cool analysis and really cool predictions, and you work on the strategy, which is super exciting. And I guess the final roles that we're going to cover during this webinar. And by the way, I'm loving the activity in the comments, guys. Keep on doing that. So the last roles that last but not least, that we're going to talk about right now are PR, legal, and HR. So PR stands for public relations. If you guys haven't heard of that before, legal is basically people who have a legal background, so lawyers, and HR is human resources. So these roles are pretty similar. What you do in these roles is pretty similar to what you would do in these roles in other industries. So tech hasn't changed them too much. Let's just say that. Of course, they have evolved a little bit, and Alina has a great addition about that, which I didn't know until the last time we spoke about this presentation. But basically, your roles are very, very similar to people in other industries that have the same role, except for the fact that you are working with this particular product or this particular technology. So you are very much all about this particular platform or application or something like that. So yeah, and again, what do these people do? People who are in PR, which stands for public relations, deal with external communications about the product, and they really control the message that they're trying to convey about the brand to the media. So, creating press releases and contacting different media outlets to tell them, okay, so can you change this wording, or can you put out this press release? Basically, it's all about controlling the message, controlling the image of the brand externally. Legal, of course, that is legal counseling, and every company needs someone who can basically make sure that they're protected in terms of the legal stuff, and in terms of the fact, to make sure that they're abiding by the law, that they're doing everything correctly. I mean, a great example of that is, I don't know if you guys have heard about the recent data protection laws in Europe. It was called GDPR. It came into play at the end of May, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, it's a law about how companies tell you about the data that they collect from you, and how you consent to all of that, and how they have to be transparent about how they're going to use this data and all this stuff. So that was a huge that was a moment when a lot of lawyers were needed. I remember with Coding Blonde myself, I was trying to find legal advice because I wanted to make sure that I'm doing everything according to the law. And so because I am sometimes collecting your emails or names and for the newsletter or something like that, and I just needed to make sure that I'm communicating all the stuff that I need to communicate, that this is what I'm using it for, to send you newsletters. And HR, human resources, the scope of their job and their responsibilities is basically hiring candidates, whether it's engineering, whether it's business side of things. So hiring and also retaining talent, because finding talent is very, very difficult. But once you find them, you have to keep them happy. You have to keep them working for you, because otherwise you're just going to have to find new people, if these great, amazing, talented people leave. So yeah, it can involve some fun activities, team building stuff, or when it comes to benefits, how much are you giving a gym subscription, or what is the pension plan? Some of it can be pretty boring, but at the end of the day, it's about making people happy. So yeah, those roles, again, they don't change as much as some of the other roles when it comes to the tech industry, but they are very specific to tech. So yeah, Alina, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I was listening to you. I totally agree. I think all of them are really important, and if you work in PR, yeah, it's quite the same. So you talk to media, you shape the external messaging in legal, especially if you love intellectual property and everything that's connected with that field. You probably will find a great place in tech. And also for HR, I just wanted to add that many HR practices. In tech are quite innovative, and they were born in tech companies, especially in big tech companies. And some of them that are now migrating into other industries were born here in tech. And I think especially tech recruiting, like recruiting tech candidates, software engineers, in general, researchers, people with tech background, it's quite competitive and it's quite challenging. It's quite challenging even for big companies because everyone's fighting for talents. And in this market, there are a lot of interesting things. Like in this field, I would say there's a lot of interesting things that are happening. And there are a lot of practices that HRs are using to, as Masha said, to attract candidates, to retain them. A lot of things that you might be the first people in the world to do these things and to build a great HR brand. Because as I said, competition is very high, especially for great engineers, software developers, and so on. So if you're really great at HR, tech is a great place for you to develop these practices. And also this is the place where I would say in some companies HR is kind of part of the core work of the teams that they are hiring for. So sometimes, and usually, like in majority of the cases, not only like HR speaks to the candidate, but also the whole team speaks to the candidate, like the manager, his future peers, his future colleagues. And there are a lot of things that you can like dig deeper into HR fields. So if you have this background and if you really love it, go for it. Yeah, and I think we have the one last slide left, right?
We do, in fact.
Yeah, and this is one of my favorites because I think we covered almost all non-tech roles, or so to say, roles that don't require really deep or really like broad tech skills for you to have. But there is also one last way for you, maybe not one last way for sure, but one path that some people are interested in is transferring to engineering. And this is also something that we're going to talk about in our masterclass. And this is the way that I kind of partly took, because I've learned to code. And if you also want to acquire some tech skills, I would say that it's totally like it's possible. So it's not a nonsense anymore that person without a tech background would work as a software engineer. And there's a lot of coding schools that have live courses in your city or somewhere probably close to you. There are also a lot of online boot camps that are amazing. I took one of them and I had individual mentor, I had career services, mock interviews for me to train. And also there are projects for fun that you can do, pet projects. And for me, it was one of the startups that I joined and where I worked as, I would say, a person that did everything from, I don't know, from PR to product management, from like different things. But it teaches you a lot. And this is how you can also this is how you can learn by yourself, by doing your own project. So think of an idea that you maybe had for a long time and you didn't know how to solve. Think of a problem that you wanted to solve. So, for example, when I was doing my online bootcamp, I wanted to build a meta search engine for flights, and I didn't know how to do this. I wanted to know where exactly on the exact date I could go for the cheapest price. Um, Now, bigger meta search engines have this function, but at that time when I was in the bootcamp, not all of them had this feature. So I thought, okay, I want to build it myself. So with the help of mentor, with my own interest and curiosity, I just built this app and I used it for myself. So it was scrappy, but still I've learned a lot. So this is a great way for you to start. And I've seen many, especially young people who are like trying to do their projects for fun, but then it teaches people a lot, and they migrate to tech industry, and that's a great way how to develop here. So yeah, I guess that's all what we wanted to cover from our core content, and I see that we already spent over 1 hour speaking.
Yes, we have indeed. But I hope that it was useful to all of you guys. And just to remind you, we have our full masterclass on September 26th at 7 p.m. London time. So I will definitely transfer that into other time zones closer to that. But and in that webinar, in that masterclass, sorry, we were going to go deeper into our tech industry overview. We're going to give you more details when it comes to these roles and demystifying them. Also, we'll add the skills and resources that you will need to get to those career paths and give you a step-by-step action plan. And of course, like I already mentioned, we're going to give you the real examples of candidates that have switched roles. And like I said, we're going to change names. We're not going to name them personally, but yes, they're real people that we know for sure. And since you are here right now, we're giving you a 50% discount with a coupon webinar, and you can find the link to the full masterclass in the description of the video. If you scroll down, you will definitely find it there. And don't forget to use the coupon webinar, and would love to see you there. Yes, I will stop sharing my screen right now so that you can see our faces again.
Yeah, so the masterclass is going to be in the end of September, so it's almost a month away. So you have some time to think about it, but just wanted to make sure that you know that we're gonna do our best to deliver you the best content that we know, and believe us, we know a lot of people and stories of career change and trajectory changes, and we really try to inspire you guys for change if you're hesitant whether this industry is for you, or whether you're not sure if you could kind of successfully compete in the industry. I should say that from my own experience, with like proper motivation and knowledge and proper, I would say, like determination to to reach your goal, you're gonna be successful in this industry. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And if you guys are watching this on replay, yeah, 26th of September, we might have replays of that. So if you're watching this pause then, that make sure to check out that link to see if it's still active. But yeah, people, go on there. We would love to share our knowledge and create an actionable action plan for you.
Yeah, we actually have a surprise in the end of masterclass that we developed together with Masha. Yeah, and it's closely connected to step-by-step plan for you to take to reach your goal. But yeah, see you in a month, and then we'll show you everything there.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you, Alina, for sharing your amazing knowledge.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful time of the day you're currently experiencing. Bye.
Bye.